And that's why I'm making these videos, because I want everybody in the world to really truly get it in their head, understand what it is that we're doing. This is one of the most important initiatives in the world. It's my personal belief, and I hope it becomes your belief as well. All right, hey everybody, here we are on Priceless Farms again. And for those of you who don't know, this is a farm in Uganda where we've been doing regenerative agroforestry. A lot of permaculture design has gone into creating this farm. This is now 8 years into developing 140 acres of various different systems, various different tests that have been going on. We have been gilding, which is to work with many different species of trees, monitoring how they operate and work together in a very diverse manner. And this is what it looks like after 8 years of regenerative farming. You can see in the understory down here, we have things like aloe vera, we have lemongrass. We've also got these bitter leaf that we've planted in now. We figured that out. On the ground floor, you can see the results of a regenerative farm system where you have these, seeds coming off of our canopy species. This is a giant lira. And then as you go up through the canopies, through the layers, if you will, of the forest, you're basically, you're farming vertically, okay? And this is a sort of a food forest that we're looking at here. So you're seeing citrus like oranges and limes right here in this shot. We can just walk in together. This lemongrass smells absolutely amazing. You can see, the forest floor actually is where all the evidence is of what you're growing, and so you can see some of the fruits of the orange trees are making their way to the ground. And in the trees themselves, it's hard to see because they're green, but they're full of fruits. Then, of course, we have the famous moringa, which we're very much interested in. Moringa is producing fertilizer. It's mining vast amounts of minerals and nutrients from the subsoils and bringing it up into a really beautiful bioavailable form of fertilizer for everything. Not only for human consumption, but you can actually spray your plants and you're getting zeatin molecules in there, growth hormone, you're getting all kinds of vitamins and minerals that this plant is it's kind of like a fountain of fertilizer, if you will. It's just an incredible species. And of course you can see we're pruning it down. So this is like an understory at this point, part of the herbaceous layer of the forest. Here we have a beautiful soursop tree. All right. And you can just imagine, you can see some of the fruits are coming in. You can see the flowers here. So this is flowering, and you can actually smell the fruits. As you walk through the forest, sometimes you're smelling mango, sometimes you're smelling guava, because all of these tropical fruits are growing here. We've got jackfruit, the largest fruit in the world. And then look down here. This is one of my personal favorites, growing right underneath here. Again, back down to the herbaceous layer, you've got these incredible little chilies. These are locally growing. I believe they originated from South America, but who really knows? We found them here in the middle of Uganda, out in the bush, propagated them, planted them out, and they grow very well. And so all of these sort of crazy mishmashed guilds, look at this one here. This is bitter leaf, and it's growing literally out of the same square footage as a moringa stump, as a moringa tree, which has been used for producing our famous moringa powder. Well, this one we're exporting to Japan. They're starting to include it in fish food. This one has been very well researched and documented for anti-cancer research and so on and so forth. So this is an incredibly powerful antiviral, antibacterial plant, and it's non-toxic. You can drink this, you can take this into your diet, you can make it into capsules. These are all different types of medicines. Let's keep going. We'll just walk a little bit. Here's a little bit of an open area. This one is a seed producing tree for moringa. So this one would be producing your cosmetic oils. If we want, we can come and clean this bark, and we can take strips of the bark for the bark powder and for the bark medicine. The roots down underground, if you go into the subsoil, those roots are also highly medicinal as well. So there's just medicine throughout this entire system. And as you can see, what was once a very, very, very badly damaged piece of land is becoming fecund. Is that the right word? Is becoming fertile, if you will. And this is so Actually, very simple, because if you look here, look at this mango grove. So here we have a whole bunch of mango trees, probably growing too closely together, right? Some of them might have self-seeded. Most of them were planted. But you can see here, mangoes growing right with indigenous species and right with Moringa species. Now, as we mature, these trees are young. You know, this is a young forest. 8 years is not a lot of time to establish a new forest ecology. But as you grow with this, as the community learns this, here you see papaya growing out right in the middle here. And this papaya has latex in it, which is highly, highly medicinal. The leaves we take for powdering. Again, one of the best dewormers you can imagine. And as the community starts to learn that, hey, you know what, this is a productive model, and they have a localized factory, which is what we're going to focus on today, where they can bring this diverse range of biological resources to a factory that is set up to process and manufacture them under the best standards in the world, to then sell onwards to external markets and also East African markets. We're creating an entirely new industry for Africa. We're creating an entirely new industry for rural populations who are currently, unfortunately, stuck in cycles of poverty, cutting the trees down to cook their food because they don't have access to electricity, they don't have access to gas cook stoves, it's too expensive, and they're growing staple foods like maize and beans in order to feed themselves and eke out a little tiny, barely enough to survive living, which is keeping them in these cycles of poverty while their soils are being eroded and destroyed because they're ruining the ecologies that they're living in. And that's not their own fault. They're stuck because of the whole world hasn't come to this conclusion to say, hey, you know what, we're all one people. We need to all work together to make sure that these ecologies work. And so that's really been the focus of my career, is to come up with these ideas. And we're just standing in, we've covered maybe, I don't know, 40 meters of walking distance. And already around me here, if you look around, I have an abundance of fruits, foods, fuels, fibers. I have oil that can be turned into biodiesel. I have timber which can be sustainably logged. I have fruits which can be made into juices and different cosmetic products. I have herbs that can be made into, you know, some of the most powerful medicine in the world. Whether you're taking them raw, which I personally like to promote as sort of a preventative lifestyle brand, you know, take these raw herbs and incorporate them into your tea time, incorporate them into your breakfast cereal, incorporate them into your culinary dishes like, you know, lasagna. You know, you add these herbs in and you're going to get those benefits. And more people are starting to wake up to the benefits of truly natural herbal foods and the powers that they have. Even the mango leaves themselves have highly medicinal properties. Guava leaves, highly medicinal properties. Papaya leaves, highly medicinal properties. These are things that any community in any tropical region can grow, rejuvenate their landscape with, and replenish their environment with fertility and with that biodiversity, which is now going to add layers of wealth to their staple foods. If we build these micro factories throughout the tropical world, my belief is this mission is one of the most important missions on the planet. It's a personal favorite of mine, obviously, otherwise I wouldn't have spent 18 years of my life doing this, really focusing in on this. And I'll tell you right now that ever since I started doing this, this has changed my entire worldview forever. I can never go back. I can never sit here and say, well, I don't think reforesting the planet and giving people better job opportunities and stabilizing soil ecologies and feeding and housing and clothing people is not a good idea. It's a fantastic idea. This is a fantastic mission. And there's thousands of people out there talking and doing the same thing in their own unique, different ways. This is Priceless Farms in Kayunga, Uganda. This is a wet, dry tropical zone. We get temperatures of up to 62 degrees Celsius on the ground during the dry season here. Fires rip through this landscape every year in February, the hottest time of the year. You see fires coming up from the swamps. Then during the rainy season, we get floods, we get incredibly torrential downpours. This is not an easy environment. And most of the people who were living here before we came are living in tiny little wooden and reed shacks with tarps and no shoes and no proper clothing. Their kids aren't really getting educated well, even if they are able to send them to school. There's massive malnourishment throughout this region. And why? Because there's no local factory that's providing them with the ability to do this, right? So it's one thing to reforest, but you can't do it without having that factory and that market. And that's why I'm making these videos, because I want everybody in the world to really truly get it in their head, understand what it is that we're doing. This is one of the most important initiatives in the world. It's my personal belief, and I hope it becomes your belief as well. So subscribe to our channel and like what we're doing, because all the views and all the attention that you give us, we find clients. A lot of people find us online through these videos and they say, wow, that looks amazing. They're growing their food from a place like this. And then they call us up and they say, hey, we'd like some of that. We'd like some of this. What would you like? Do you want aloe vera? Do you want bitter leaf? Do you want chilies? Do you want avocado? Well, we've got it all. I mean, look at this place. Just look at it, would you? Anyways, I get really excited. And this to me is very exciting, because this is a new thing, you know, but you know, I hope that was a helpful little segment for you. We'll cut there, and yeah, you stay classy, San Diego.
He continued to ramble for another 23 hours straight.